Submitted for your approval, Craig Beam, a 40-something-year-old man-child. In some respects, your typical Pacific Northwest inhabitant, that breed of male who prefers t-shirts to neckties, drinks too much beer, and perpetually sports facial hair regardless of the current trends. But he's also got one foot planted firmly in the global phenomenon known as nerddom. He possesses an unassailable fondness for action figures, funny t-shirts, and cute internet memes. And somewhere in the gray, misty region between those two disparate aspects of his personality, he possesses a single-minded and passionate preoccupation. He's obsessed with, of all things, the Twilight Zone. And much to the chagrin of his long-suffering family, he can't shut up about it. And starting this fall, he's going to make you suffer too. Is it a podcast? Or a cheesy morning radio show, or some ungodly hybrid of the two? Find out for yourself on September 1st, 2016, when Between Light and Shadow, a Twilight Zone podcast, officially thrusts its awkward and ungainly self upon the world. You'll find it in all the usual podcast places, whether you want to or not. God help us all.
You are now listening to Extreme Cinema with Andrew Legank and David Lawler. If you like sex and violence, evil brunettes, and angelic blondes, then stick with us as we debate some of the best and worst of action and exploitation filmmaking.
This goes back to our original deal, which was we do an episode featuring two relatively unknown movies like Deadly Prey and The Deadliest Prey, directed by David A. Pryor and starring his brother Ted. So this week we have Larry Cohen, very well known in the industry. His career came full circle because he started as a punch-up guy. He started as a script doctor, and he worked his way into movie making by directing black exploitation movies like Black Caesar and Hell Up in Harlem. And then he starts doing horror movies. Probably his most memorable period as a filmmaker. He did It's Alive, God Told Me To, Q, and he goes back to script polishing. He winds up polishing other people's scripts and working in Hollywood again. He's an enormously talented writer.
It's immensely inspiring to me. Every time I watch a movie like The Stuff, it makes me want to start writing something because I could just feel his passion and excitement with what he's writing and what he's doing. It's visceral. You can just sense it. You know,
right. I was last night I watched The Stuff. I had not seen that movie in years. The previous week I watched Q. Q was always a favorite of mine. I've always enjoyed that movie. But I watched The Stuff last night, and I mean, even Bronwyn remembers this movie because I was talking about it with her, and it was just, it was truly brilliant. It's a truly brilliant horror comedy satire. That's how I see it. I saw it as like a consumer, kind of like a satire of consumer mania.
Consumerism in general.
Consumerism, yeah.
What would you little maniacs like to do first?
But first, we'll get into that in a minute. Let's talk about Q. Where now you have David Carradine and Richard Roundtree. This is a great cast, by the way, and they're detectives investigating a series of, ritual murders. People are being skinned alive, and they discover that these are willing victims, giving their lives in service to a cult who worship this winged serpent, Quetzalcoatl, that everybody seems to have a problem pronouncing. Only Carradine can pronounce it correctly. But
I can't fucking pronounce it.
Quetzalcoatl. Say it like Al Pacino.
Yeah, I got you and Carradine. Carradine's dead, so we got you.
Well, imagine Al Pacino, okay? It's called Quetzalcoatl.
Cunt.
You stupid fucking...
Quetzalcoatl.
What do we got?
Q is coming. Q is coming. Its name is Quetzalcoatl. Just call it Q. That's all you'll have time to say before it tears you apart. Q is coming.
Okay. So the whole thing, this movie is like, it's a lot like Jaws. It really reminds me of Jaws because we don't really see this thing until much later on. It's really silly that when we see it because it's a really kind of a bad visual effect. It's like done in this stop motion way. But I believe that was kind of a tribute to Ray Harryhausen. It reminded me a lot of like Clash of the Titans, King Kong, all that stop motion stuff.
Samuel Z. Arkoff was a producer of this movie.
Yes, this is true, and he.
It has its roots in those kinds of movies.
Zarkov. So you get what you get.
It starts off with that window washing scene at the very beginning.
Right. That's the one thing that really stuck out at me.
Larry Cohen. That is Larry Cohen. That might have given him the entire idea for the movie right there, was just the idea of this window washer getting beheaded while this woman watches him.
Oh, hello again, you little creep. Here again today. How many times can you wash that same dumb window?
Where's my girlfriend? I love you.
Oh, jeez. No, only in black. I can give it to you if I call the factory. Guess who's on my ledge again? That little jerk.
I know you love me. I know you love me.
Oh, that's driving me crazy with that squeaking. Yeah. I'll check with the factory and get back to you. I wish you'd take a walk.
And the woman is watching him and insulting him at the same time. She says, "Hey, asshole! I see you're here again."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
yeah. And she's like, "Ah!" And that's what you expect. If this had been and this brings up, this was like my first really. This movie is not, in my opinion, Larry Cohen at his best. There's something wrong here. Somebody's stepping on him, stopping him, or he's stopping himself. Because I don't see this coming together as the way that the excitement that I feel coming from Larry Cohen, I don't feel coming out of this movie. I just don't. Something's not right.
I had the opposite feeling. I felt that this was from top to bottom a Larry Cohen movie because of the way he writes his characters. He always gives his characters so many interesting qualities. And he makes them real on the page.
But he made terrible mistakes in this part, in that respect, in this one, because he had too many characters with too many different things going on, and it was too much. It needed a rewrite. The whole movie needed a rewrite. To cut down the number of characters. But,
we will. I can explain some of this to you. I know.
Yeah.
Well, first let me talk about Michael Moriarty. Okay, he plays this small-time criminal, and he's I guess getting in on this jewelry store robbery. Winds up having to run because everything went wrong. So he's running with this suitcase full of money or something like that. He drops the suitcase.
Too much backstory, too much shit, too much character, too weird. I love Michael Moriarty being weird in Larry Cohen movies, but this. Really, probably the only good thing that came out of this is he worked with Larry Cohen again a million times afterwards.
He did. So he's running from one point he's running from mafia cohorts, and he's running from the cops. He winds up going to the top of the Chrysler building where he stumbles upon a nest, and in this nest is an enormous egg. And he sort of puts two and two together that there's some kind of creature in there, which I found very clever. I really like that. Now let me move on to the origin of this movie. Now what happened was, and this will probably answer one of your questions. Larry Cohen had written a script called I, the Jury that he was going to direct, and he started directing. He was hired to direct the movie. It starred Lorraine Landon, Armand Desante, and a bunch of other people that would eventually actually pop up in Q. Now what happened was, based on an interview.
Who finished that? Who directed that?
The ultimate director of that movie was Richard T. Heffron.
Right. Okay.
Now, what happened, this is from an interview with Larry Cohen. He said that he got this feeling that the producers were con artists. And basically, there was now in a lot of my research on some of the stuff that I've written for Vintage Cable Box, I found that there's a lot of these movies that were produced by people who over budgeted the movies and then pocketed the difference. It was very much like the Mel Brooks movie, The Producers.
Mm-hmm.
And he suspected that this is what was happening.
Franchise Pictures with that Andrew Stevens company that like it wasn't Andrew, it was Ellie Samaha. That dude that like he was over budgeting the shit out of these movies and like fucking
right,
and he got bagged and
yeah, and then they get to keep the money and this is a problem with filmmakers, especially on the lower end, is that there are very easy ways to screw people out of money when it comes to the budgeting and the preparation and the shooting of movies.
Right.
Now what had happened was Cohen warned his actors on either jury. He said, I don't think you guys are going to get paid. You better go in there and demand your money. When the producers found out about this, they fired him. They fired him 3 days into production. He had half of the script of Q written. So right away, he went to, I believe, Samuel Arkoff and said, I've got to work here. I've got a bunch of stuff in place and relationships with people. I can get all these people to come in on Q with me. Can you finance it? And he basically gave him half the script. He took a look at it, financed it. So very quickly, he went from being fired on a Monday to starting work on Q the next day.
Half-done script.
He called David Carradine, he called Richard Roundtree, and he called Michael Moriarty, and he said, come to New York. I have no script, but please come. And they were like, because Larry Cohen he commands a lot of respect. And also...
Even back in then, he did. I mean,
even back then, yeah, because he had worked with a lot of these people before. He started directing in the 70s. He had already had a nice back catalog. Plus, he did a lot of that rewrite work I mentioned.
Right.
So all these people that were like, yeah, absolutely, they want to work with Larry. Larry, Cohen has enormous integrity. And also, he's got kind of a big mouth, and he gets himself into a lot of trouble sometimes. I'll have another story to share, a personal story, actually, not terribly personal. I never met the man, but I've known people who've worked with him. Mm-hmm. So he, and then basically, I think they had a budget of $500,000 to work on Q.
So basically, they had all these actors, and then he had to do a script that explains why he had so many characters. Why, basically, it probably. I mean, I don't want to speak. Of course, Larry Cohen is a brilliant guy, and I'm just a nobody. But if I were rewriting that script, I would meld the characters I would cut the whole thing down and meld the Moriarty character with the Carradine character.
But he's the cop. He's the bad guy. How do you do that?
There's no need for Moriarty to be as big. He's got too many cooks in the kitchen. Like you've got to cut it down somehow.
The only thing I thought about
you make the cop weirder. Get rid of the whole backstory with the wife and the shit that nobody's gonna buy with Michael Moriarty beating up that chick who would whoop his ass. All right, in
Andy
a
Clark,
second.
you're talking about?
She would beat the living shit out of this guy. You cannot don't even tell me he gets violent with her. Because she will rip his head off.
I don't really. Okay? Yeah, I didn't really buy that. I think he was trying to create layers with that character. But if I were to take issue with Q, as far as the story goes. It's almost like 3 different movies are playing here.
Yeah,
in this one movie.
Let's cut it down to like 1.5 at best.
But I love all the clever bits. Like I said, with all of Cohen's movies, either as a script or a director, you have these great character beats. Little things like, okay, Michael Moriarty, he's playing a piano and singing. That's actually him doing it because when he was a starving actor and he was pounding the pavement looking for work, he took night jobs playing piano in clubs downtown.
Yeah, I will. This piano couldn't be heard. That's Go away, evil dream. Leave my baby alone. Go away, evil dream. Go away now. She wakes up crying every night. Hey, did you ever find that guy's head yet?
So
that's cool. I do think that's cool.
And I like that. I like when you take someone who has a talent and throw that talent in. Like when we were talking about Bob Rafelson in Stay Hungry, Arnold Schwarzenegger knew how to play country fiddle. So Rafelson was like, okay, let's do it in a scene. Do it. So he actually has Schwarzenegger playing a fiddle.
Well, that's great, but it doesn't make for a tight movie, like...
Well, no, it's this is all loose. It's but it has, like, such a great production value about it, and it's such a low-budget movie, but it was shot on location in New York, and you don't really do that. Usually, what you do is you get your exteriors in New York, then you do your interiors, like, in California, because it's cheaper. But he went and shot in actual places. Michael Moriarty's apartment in this movie looks almost exactly like my apartment did in Queens.
Does. I mean, it's obviously an apartment in New York. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And that was obvious, to me, being somebody who grew up in New York. I could tell that he was shooting everywhere there. I mean, I don't mean to be overly critical of the movie. I'm just to me, look, I love Larry Cohen and Larry Cohen's work, and I feel that like this movie is not up to par with Larry Cohen stuff, and it's salt and peppered with Larry Cohen-isms that I guess it should coin a phrase, like these oddities that he throws in there that nobody else would, and those show up, but they're not the same. They just don't have the same pop.
I like those little touches, though.
I love those little touches too.
I really appreciate that, and I also know
he works with them so much better in It's Alive, in the stuff.
Well, again, he had more preparation time for that.
Right. But many other scripts.
You showed me a couple of scripts that you wrote, and you showed me one in particular that you said was kind of like Cohen-esque, and I understood exactly what you were talking about when I read it. I was like, there are these interesting little little things about these characters. They may not contribute to the story. Maybe they might not advance the narrative, but it's nice to have them there because you believe that you're looking at real people. And
right.
Moriarty looks like a real... David Carradine, not so much. He's a little distracting because he's playing a cop. We know who he is. He's Kung Fu. Okay, so you have Kung Fu as a cop.
I thought his whole thing was kind of lame. And
he's unusual. He's very unusual.
He didn't interest me at all.
But Moriarty is never dull. He is so interesting to watch in this movie.
So I ran again. I ran twice in one day. I ran. And I kept running until I couldn't run anymore. Until my side hurt so much I couldn't run anymore. And then I go to sleep. I go to sleep under a goddamn staircase. I don't sleep, because I try to sleep. I can't sleep.
Come here. Feel better?
I stink, and I just want to cry. I haven't cried since I was a little kid. I just want to cry.
Go ahead. It's okay.
No, but I'm supposed to be a man. Christ, I don't know what I'm supposed to be. Everything I touch on the outside turns to shit. Maybe I am an institutionalized person. Maybe I can't make it outside the slammer. That I belong inside there, like an animal in a cage.
Right. We could have those conjugal visits once every 4 months if we got married.
Ah! Oh.
Why do I stay with a dumb ex-junkie?
I don't know why.
You guys think there's a lot of good in you somewhere.
Yeah, where?
I'm looking.
He is interesting to watch. That's why I say, like, if you got rid of the Carradine character entirely and made the character like a weird cop that nobody liked, that was just one shot of getting fired, like just about to get fired, and here he is going off on this crazy thing about this fucking nut, this
Quetzalcoatl.
You stupid fucking...
blah, 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 blah. And so here he is reading up on this shit. Now that would have made for the
No,
coolest
but see, if
thing.
we did that, we wouldn't have that brilliant scene in the diner between the two of them later in the movie.
You're not much of a killer, Jimmy. But yesterday, that guy up in the swimming pool, you killed him.
Shepard, how dumb do you think I am? You know damn well the bird killed him. What, do you think I trained the bird? Yeah, unbelievably. You come on to me all about my music, right? Give me this nice song and dance, and then you start laying a bum rap on me. Who do you think I am?
No bum rap.
You say I have no nerve, huh?
two guys up there, Webb and Doyle. I took them up. You won't be able to recognize them because they're all over the place. They're in little pieces. And I let them up there because they were putting heavy pressure on me. And I walked them right into it.
Glenn, you're not going to lead us into anything like that, are you?
Well, a few cops may die. I've seen this bitch in action. She can move anywhere she pleases, in or out.
In and out of what?
The roof. There's a hole in the roof.
That is such a great scene.
That was like you know what that reminded me of? Heat.
Brother, you are going down.
I'm rooting for Moriarty. I do not want him to accidentally spill the location of the nest. Now, okay, let's get into the story for a second.
Yeah.
Now, basically Moriarty, he's reading about all these crazy attacks that are going on, people getting killed. There's a giant winged serpent that people are seeing. He knows where the nest is, and he is prepared to extort the cops to get everything that he wants in exchange for the location of the nest, which I thought was great. He wanted $1 million tax-free. I thought that was a nice move, too. He said, no taxes. I never pay taxes. I'm not going to pay taxes on this, right? And then he wants total amnesty. He wants immunity from any previous charges that he might have been, gone to jail for or something like that. And they're all like, well, how do you know? And, it's like, I'll take you to the nest, and once we take you to the nest, then we sign the agreement, and my lawyer is going to supervise all this. And it's great because I love that he's trying to stick it to these people. And Carradine is trying to screw him out of it,
Yeah,
which I don't think is fair because it's not his money; it's the fucking city's money, and I'll fucking pay $1 million to get rid of this fucking thing anyway.
Terrific. I mean, I don't know. I guess I was kind of rooting because like at that point, Moriarty's character was starting to annoy me.
He was
so okay. I was all about let's fuck him out of that $1 million. All right,
I didn't want to fuck him. I wanted him to fuck the cops. I swear. Okay, so somebody's been skinned alive. They keep coming back to these people being skinned alive. It's fucking horrible. Anyway,
and there are these awesome scenes that are total Larry Cohen-esque things of blood and body parts raining down on unsuspecting pedestrians.
And there's a shot there where one guy looks like... There's one shot where a guy's looking up. He looks like Paul McCartney. I was like, oh, shit, Paul McCartney's in this movie?
It is pure Larry Cohen subversiveness.
And blood raining from the sky. And people think it's pigeon shit right away. They're like, oh, fucking pigeon. What the fuck is it?
Again, it's not handled with the same flair that it is in other Larry Cohen movies, and it just doesn't flow. It's kind of everything in the movie is a little off kilter. It doesn't flow well.
Some of the editing is disjointed, and also those visual effects. Okay, I got something for you. This is going to blow your mind. Mm-hmm. You prepare to have your mind blown.
Blow my mind, motherfucker. All right.
I would absolutely...
Get on your knees. Blow my mind.
That's just wrong. That's just wrong. Sorry, kids out there listening.
That's a family program.
It's a fucking family program.
It's a motherfucking family program, yo.
It's a family program with lots of fisting. Anyway. No, what my idea was, this movie would be well served by a remake. A remake done with a decent budget and good effects. This would be fantastic to look at as a rerun, as a remake. But it would have to retain Cohen's. I think it would have to retain Cohen's script. I think it should be like not a shot for shot, but not like what they did with Psycho, how they totally screwed it. You get really good actors. You put together nice visual. You could actually. I think what Cohen really wanted with this movie was to make it a King Kong for our age. Except it's a winged... And I love the idea of a winged serpent. I love that shit. That's fucking awesome.
I'd like to see what Larry Cohen would do with this movie if he were to do it even now. Like,
give it a shot, yeah.
There's something... I swear, I wish I could talk to the man because I want to know. It just... Like, for instance, okay, it's a trademark of Larry Cohen that the characters have all of this weird, crazy shit going on around them, and they're just kind of relaxed and like this is normal, right?
Yeah.
But, that's like the way it always is, except here. Here in this one, he has Moriarty. He kind of feels the need to explain it. Like to explain why he needs Carradine to explain why he's so at ease with all of this, and so he gives this crazy ass long speech in the police station to Richard Roundtree while Moriarty is listening, and none of that makes any sense why that's happening, and it's like Cohen is either uncomfortable with what he's doing, he doesn't feel. Like, that's the thing, Larry Cohen, you can always feel his self-assuredness in his writing, and it's not there here. and he's.
Well, I think okay.
For whatever reason, whether it's Arkoff, like having him, making him do stuff he doesn't want to do, or it could be anything. It could be anything.
Arkoff was not that kind of. Arkoff was like a money man, basically. He said, "All right, if you can bring it in at this time," and he wasn't the kind of producer to be completely up somebody's ass. He usually gave. I mean, like he gave Brian De Palma all kinds of leeway to do what he wanted to do with Dress to Kill. He didn't even give a rat's ass about the MPAA rating. That's what I thought was cool. He comes from the Roger Corman thing, which is basically if you can
get it done.
If you get it done, Great. I don't care what you do. We'll figure it out later.
Right.
But
well, that's good. Then what is it? You think it was Larry Cohen doing this to himself?
I think that Larry Cohen was in the middle of a really bad situation with the jury. And he wanted to get working, and he was hot. He wanted to strike while the iron was hot, so he only had half a script. I think what he worked on is, that the beginning, the intro, and all those characters. He said, we put these characters in this situation, and then just shoot it. And I'll make it up on the fly. I think a lot of it was probably made up on the fly, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Because it just doesn't, it doesn't have a lot of the things. Really, that self-assuredness, it jumps out of the movie.
Well, but that's the difference between night and day with this movie and a movie like The Stuff.
Right.
The Stuff is done with such a sure hand. It's just brilliant to look at. But I see, at least you see the potential in Q. Mm-hmm. In moving on.
No, you definitely the potential is most definitely there, and there's a lot of good. I mean, I'm not trying to beat the movie down. I'm just saying, like I'm holding it up to the standard that I hold, Larry Cohen movies to. I just don't feel that same thing from it. If I want to, seriously, if I were to be inspired to write screenplays, I will watch Larry Cohen movies because
yes, exactly. That's
awesome.
exactly how I feel too.
Want to do that.
That's weird. You know how you had that feeling? You spoke of that feeling when you watched The Stuff.
Yeah.
I feel that when I watch Q because I love the idea. Like I said, I love the idea of a winged serpent. I just love that. It's great. This is like Jaws, except it's not ocean. It's rooftops. I just think that's fucking brilliant.
And maybe if they remake it, the ending battle won't look like the Land of the Lost.
I know. That was so disappointing. All right, let's move on here. Carradine is following these ritualistic murders. They connect the murders to these serpent worshippers. Meanwhile, the serpent worshippers, this whole thing is fucking awesome. I mean, to me anyway. The great location work. I mean, it's really great photography. He said they actually in the interview I read with Cohen, they actually did shoot right at the top of the Chrysler Building. That was not a set. He said. He comes in with his production to the Chrysler Building management, and he says, "I want to shoot in here." And they said, "Yes, this is New York in the early '80s. They would actually let you do this shit, right?"
Wow.
And they didn't have any clue. He wanted to go right up to the rafters, and they actually went up there. They actually shot that fucking shit right in there. They would never let you do this anymore.
No,
never.
And the good old days.
And that's why I think a remake of Q would be awesome because not only would you have the great thing about Q that I really enjoy is that it's really fucking hard to get anything done in New York City when you live there. So not only are you having to deal with the fucking city, you have to deal with this goddamned winged serpent too.
Yes.
So I mean, it's like Quick Change. Remember Quick Change? They rob a bank. They think, okay, our plan is we just go to the airport and then we're off. But guess what?
Yeah,
fucking
this bank robbery goes great, but getting out of the city gets them.
Yeah, I know. It's just wonderful. But we never really get a good look at this creature. He keeps shooting it in weird close-ups with weird claws coming out at you. We sort of see it in flyaway shots toward the end at the climax and everything.
Right.
Now, mobsters show up to shake down Moriarty. I love this. He takes them to the top of the Chrysler Building, and the serpent fucking eats them. And there's dead bodies everywhere. So the cops bust Quinn. That's Michael Moriarty's character. Roundtree questions him. Quinn overhears Carradine's discussion. He overhears this discussion. That's what you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
About the large bird killing people on rooftops.
There's this bird, see? And it's eating people, see? No, it doesn't go like that. It really doesn't.
And one thing I wanted to mention in this movie is distinctive is it has this really great video box art. Like the VHS is so awesome. The artwork on it, right, for the poster. Although it's completely inaccurate in scale because they make this thing look huge when it's really it's small enough to fit inside a fucking nest in the Chrysler building.
Yeah.
All right, Candy Clark. I want to talk a little bit about Candy Clark. She's actually quite a good actress, but she's completely wasted in this role. And yeah, I agree with you.
Is that the wife?
Your wife /
Moriarty's
girlfriend.
wife?
I don't quite know what she is.
Dude, she could take him.
And the thing is, she's a lot more talented. But I felt like you could have gotten like a lesser known act. She's kind of well known, Candy Clark, at least at that time. And they don't really have her doing much, and it's really not important. I mean, a lot of the stuff I think that Moriarty was doing in his scenes with her was very method. So it had like this method feel to it.
It just felt uncomfortable to me. I didn't like it.
And this is where I get into my point. I feel like
I wanted it to go away.
My point was, I feel like we're watching three different movies. You have the B movie about the giant winged serpent. You have this detective drama about a murderous cult, and then like a Law and Order episode about a batty small-time criminal. So he puts all three of these together, and
yeah, cut it down into a cohesive 1.5 movies at best, at worst. You know, really,
right.
like really 3 movies is too many going on. That's unless you're going to make it shortcuts or something. Cut it down. Don't be masturbatory with your editing.
So now we get to the finale, which is very King Kong. You've got guys in scaffolds with snipers. Sorry, I have to move my cat here.
Yeah, no problem. Move the cat.
You're getting a little heavy there, sweetie. So you got these guys.
Some weight, son.
You need to lose some fucking weight, aesthetically speaking. All right, so they have these machine guns, and it's kind of funny watching the serpent pick off these snipers because the effects look so bad. These are just really bad process shots, and lots of screaming too. I mean, it gets to be. I feel like this scene was really way too long. I felt like they were like duplicating.
Yeah, and it gets to be like a little eye rolling.
It's just like, watch out,
yeah.
Ah! And it's all like that. I felt bad. I kind of felt bad for Q, for the Quetzalcoatl, because I'm an animal guy. You know how I am. And then they killed the baby, which I thought was kind of fucked up, too, with Carradine just fucking unloading into this baby's head.
Yeah.
All right, now, after the serpent is killed, we go back to Moriarty in his apartment. And this is a really great fucking scene here. Mm-hmm. They've been tracking this guy who is skinning people. This cult guy, right?
Yeah.
And one of the undercover cops is a mime, which I thought was fucking brilliant. This guy is a performing artist mime in the street, but he's not. He runs over to the payphone, and he says, I marked him. We got him. Swarm. And he's got this mime makeup on, and the mime comes with them to try and track this guy.
And he's riding in the cop car, and it looks like some sort of joke. Yeah. And that is not typical Larry Cohen, because it's a little bit more in your face, like ridiculous comedy.
Ridiculous in your face. Well, when we get to the stuff, which we will in a few seconds, there's a lot of ridiculous shit in that movie too.
There is. Well, in the stuff in the Act 3, it really kind of goes over the top, but it's a lot tighter.
With Paul Sorvino, who is fucking
once
brilliant.
Paul Sorvino shows up, that's when things start to go a little off the rails, and I really think
I can't wait to get. I seriously can't wait to get into the stuff, because this is awesome. But first, let me finish this up. This guy breaks into Moriarty's furnished room or whatever. And he's like, I'm going to sacrifice you to our winged serpent or something. It's like that. He's like, fuck you, I'm not doing anything. And he says, what are you waiting for? Come on, do it. He says, I can't do it unless you say the prayer. And he says, I'm not saying shit for you. He says, you have to say the prayer.
You are the betrayer, Now you must humble yourself.
What did I betray?
You must give yourself to receive forgiveness.
No, I understand.
Yes.
No, I know.
You must make your flesh holy so that it is good as a sacrifice.
I understand. I fucked up all my life.
With your sacrifice and the sacrifice of the others, the plumed serpent will rise again.
A serpent? A plumed serpent? What do you mean, that fucking bird?
But if you say the prayer with me, you will have salvation.
Piss on your prayer. I ain't saying any goddamn prayers. I never did, I never will. Fucking priest told me to say my prayers, I didn't say my fucking prayers. Cops told me to say my prayers, I'm not saying my prayers, and now you're saying your prayers.
I've eaten shit from you. I've eaten shit from City Hall. Do it!
I cannot do it until you say the prayer.
I'm not saying shit for you.
It's like, this guy's got rules. You got to say the prayer. Then you get skinned. And he's like, I'm not saying anything. And then Carradine comes in and he just shoots this guy over and over again. This guy keeps getting up with the knife. He keeps shooting him. Oh, God, that was great. And meanwhile, Moriarty's like shitting his pants.
I didn't like it. I'm sorry. It wasn't
I have
for
to
me.
also mention that Ron Say, who is he was a baseball player for the Los Angeles Dodgers, 6-time All-Star, played one of the detectives. Isn't that a weird bit of casting there?
It's amazing.
It's weird that he would get Ron Say, hey, Ron, you want to come out and do a movie with me? You can be a cop. He's like, yeah, I'm there. Fuck it.
Fuck yeah, man. That's like, what's his name?
What else?
Casting
What else?
of old boxers.
Okay, so let me wrap this up for Q. I don't know. I don't have any other final thoughts except to say that I really enjoyed this movie. It's fun, and I believe it to be kind of a tribute to the old-timey visual effects of Ray Harryhausen. And there's a certain amount of this kind of eccentric charm about New York. It is such a quintessential New York movie. The stuff starts in New York, but it finishes down south. It's a little less of a New York movie than this, because this really feels like what would happen if you had an enormous winged serpent just killing people in New York. It would be like this. It would be just insane people running around.
Right.
So, let's take a moment to talk about some of our favorite Larry Cohen movies before we launch into the stuff.
Yes.
Also, I do have this story that I wanted to share. Well, two stories. Yeah. Now, Larry Cohen always had problems with unions. Typically, he would hire non-union crews, and then New York unions would get up his ass. I mean, Teamsters would be harassing him. They would mess him up. This was how he was able to shoot on such low budgets, by hiring non-union people, just paying them out of pocket to do odd jobs for the movies and that stuff. And he ran around like crazy doing as much as he possibly could do. And just what I think every good filmmaker should be like. They should do that. He ran into problems with the New York union crews on, I believe, let me see, God Told Me To, and also he pissed off, he had some shots that were later recycled from Maniac Cop with William Lustig of a couple of cops drinking beer in the middle of a St. Patrick's Day parade, and it was real footage of actual police officers. He pissed off the New York cops doing that. Wow. So they would never provide protection when union crews came around to try and mess up his productions. The same thing happened on The Ambulance. You remember The Ambulance with Eric Roberts?
You bet I do. It was a great movie.
That is another great movie. He had problems with the New York unions, but luckily, Larry Cohen had friends who worked at the New York Post, and they would promote the movie. I would remember reading the New York Post around the time that it was being made and released, and these writers would come out of the woodwork talking about the movie and trying to drum up publicity. So they must have been very good friends of him. Now, I do have another story about a filmmaker, a cinematographer that I worked with on a project that I did. I made a 16-millimeter movie in 1997, 1998. I want to say that. Was it 1997? It might have been 1990. Yeah, something like that. A gentleman named Mick Cribbin, a very talented filmmaker and director of photography. He made movies for Troma. He did work with Larry Cohen on one occasion, and then Larry Cohen fired him off of a film I believe it was A Return to Salem's Lot, which was his sequel to Salem's Lot, with Michael Moriarty. Cribben had shot some stuff, and then he got fired. And I mentioned Larry Cohen to Cribben, and Cribben spit on the ground. He said, Larry Cohen? He spit on his own floor. And I'm like, did you just spit on your own floor? Who's going to clean that up? He's like, shame, Larry Cohen, shame. He fired me. Whatever it was. I forget what it was. So that's my little personal bit about Larry Cohen right there.
Wow.
So tell me a little bit about your favorite movies of his. Well,
I love It's Alive. It Lives Again. It's Alive 3, really, I think he really was hitting his stride at that point. That was when he really hit his self-assured, I mean, you remember the beginning of It's Alive 3 where the baby's being born
in the back of a cab, and the guy's saying, "Oh no, not again."
And he's like, "Oh no, not another one." And it's like, "Oh man."
Was Moriarty in that one?
I believe he was. Let me check. I think he became the go-to guy for Moriarty. Yeah.
Now Michael Moriarty is very interesting. I mean, like when he first got the job on Law and Order, I was like, oh shit, that's the dude from all the Larry Cohen movies. He's what I remember the most in all of these movies. Like, and I do remember catching him on cable.
Cohen's go-to guy, he was like his alter ego, really, and something happened. I haven't read. I just, as a matter of fact, saw it yesterday that Cohen has a biography out. I don't know if it's on. I think it's just a biography by somebody else about Larry Cohen. I'm curious what exactly happened that really, because I remember that the Ambulance was delayed with release for quite some time before it was released. So I believe it was shot before Wicked Stepmother.
Right.
And Wicked Stepmother had all of these problems. Like, it was a bad shoot. Like everything possible went wrong with Wicked Stepmother.
Is that the one with Bette Davis?
Yeah. And then he was gone from the scene for a while after that, for at least 5 years.
Yeah, around that time, that's when he started picking up again with his script polishing work and also sending out screenplays. What did he wrote? We know that he did Cell Phone.
And I love that movie. And Cellular.
Cellular.
And he did. He also did
Phone Booth.
He did Phone Booth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Phone Booth.
Those were two big spec scripts that he did.
Yeah. Joel Schumacher directed Phone Booth, right?
Yeah.
And that starred Colin Farrell and Kiefer Sutherland, and was basically like this real-time kind of action movie.
Right.
And it's, how does it? Okay, it starts. He just picks up a random phone.
Yeah.
Or something, and he answers it. He says hello, and then suddenly it turns into like this Nick of Time thing where we're going to kill somebody if you don't do this for us.
Right.
And yeah, I remember being on the edge of my seat watching that movie. That was actually a very well-made action movie.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a great deal. I also enjoyed another one that he wrote. This one he wrote in '87 called Bestseller with Brian Dennehy and James Woods. Terrific freaking movie.
Okay, can you give us a little bit of the story of that one?
The story is James Woods is a contract killer who this Brian Dennehy is a police officer who's written novels, and James Woods comes to him with an offer to write the novel of the story of his life.
Okay.
And it involves a whole lot of stuff in the past that Brian Dennehy's character was involved in, and it's really good. Really
so it has,
good.
Okay, that's kind of a Hitchcockian thing going on because there's a lot of suspense involved.
A little bit, yes. It's a really good thriller, and it's got some good action scenes. It's directed by one guys who it's directed by John Flynn, who did Lock Up and a couple other forgettable movies. I think he did one of the Steven Seagal movies, the early ones, before they really started to blow dog.
Yeah.
So
that has a premise, that kind of a script that he writes, like say for like
it's
a bestseller,
always high concept,
or a phone booth is kind of, it gives you a hook. And the hook sustains this level of suspense from the beginning to the end. But the way he writes is not necessarily like the way he shoots. The way
the
he
bestseller
shoots...
I see is one of the movies that he might have directed himself. It didn't have his trademark, but it didn't have his trademark little out there Larry Cohen-isms. It didn't have a lot of subversive, weird stuff in it. It plays it straight. But another one that he wrote but didn't direct, that is very Larry Cohen and very out there, is Maniac Cop.
Yes.
All of those, like, he wrote all three of them.
This is the problem. This is the problem with Hollywood. You know, I keep going on about my problems with Hollywood, but one of them is that Larry Cohen is like a superhero when it comes to writing. This guy comes in. He has done a lot of uncredited work on a lot of movies that we see these days, and he's one of these guys that they'll call and they'll say, Larry, can you touch up the script for me? We really need, like, better dialogue. We need, like, better motivation. Can you just fix this up for me? We'll give you some money, but we can't give you any credit. Right. And he always takes the job because he likes to work.
Right.
So the problem is that you used to be able to go to a movie and just watch a movie, walk away, and you would be entertained, and that was the basic idea, was just try to entertain these people for a little while, and then they'll leave. And then it becomes, now it's like this big epic thing, and it's all nonsense. It's just complete nonsense. And it's completely disposable, too, because we're not going to be talking about these movies being made today 20 years from now.
You are now listening to Extreme Cinema with Andrew LeGank and David Lawler.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Well, I think we're due for a renaissance where real filmmaking and real things are going to come back, but they're not here yet. That's for sure. Nobody's going to be talking about Captain America, the whatever the fuck it is that they're doing now. Nobody gives a shit about that.
They certainly talk about the Albert Pune version quite a bit.
I'd rather talk about the Albert Pune version. It's much more interesting.
Well, okay, I mean, this is the issue, is that the people that we're talking about on this show are filmmakers who just get out there and fucking do it. They grab a camera, they fucking shoot as much as they can, try to take advantage of their resources. You will never, I don't care who the hell you are, Steven Spielberg could not get into the Chrysler Building these days to shoot. It just wouldn't happen. Right. Oh, and that's the thing I wanted to mention about my idea for a remake of Q, is that in addition to all the crazy New York shit that goes on, you also have post 9/11 Patriot Act crap. Imagine that in this New York, having to deal with a Winged Serpent, the New York of 2016. It would be insane. Nothing would get done. Everything would have to be.
Oh, God, can you imagine all of the people in their safe spaces and their fucking? Oh my God!
It's in my safe space. It's in my safe space.
They can't deal with like someone having a differing opinion from them, being a block away from them. Can you imagine if there's actual real danger?
I mean, I would be like PETA. PETA would come out and say, "You can't shoot that thing. It's a rare bird. You're going to kill it."
Seriously, it would make the most fun like satire of New York in the world.
Absolutely.
Seriously, half the city would be trying to save it while it was eating them.
Yes. That would be fucking brilliant. We got to get the other half on the phone and have him rewrite
out a way
it.
to have sex with it somehow. And then figuring out which bathroom to do it in. And which pronoun to call
I also
it.
wanted to mention now, I was listening to what we recorded about Deadliest Prey, and you mentioned, before we started recording, you mentioned a movie called Captivity, and I said I didn't remember it. I do remember it now. You know why? I had no idea that Larry Cohen wrote the movie. Now, it was written by Cohen, co-written, and then it was directed by Roland Joffe, who directed The Killing Fields. It's kind of a weird departure for him, and yes, it is kind of a torture porn type of a thing, but what I remember most about it was seeing an enormous billboard for it, and it was Elisha Cuthbert, who's in the movie, with this weird, Hannibal Lecter-looking mask on her face, and how she's being tortured and all that stuff. And the MPAA demanded that those ads be taken down because they looked too graphic. And that's what I remember mostly about that movie.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it because I really don't like to bother myself with torture porn. It annoys me.
I'm figuring that if Roland Jaffe did this, it would probably be very, very good. He's an unusual director.
Well, you watch it and see and you tell me what I would think about it.
I think at the very least,
I don't know what Misbegotten is because I haven't seen that.
Misbegotten, I don't think I heard of that one.
Killer
did he
obsessed
write Uncle
with
Sam?
fathering a child.
Did he write a movie called Uncle Sam?
Yes, he did.
And it was directed by Lustig?
It was Bill Lustig, and it was fucking horrible. It was I try to pretend that movie does not exist.
Now, at the very least, what you know you're going to get, and this we're about to talk about the stuff.
Yeah.
When you're looking at a movie that's been written by Larry Cohen, it's clever. I mean, it's just so clever. And the stuff is a movie that is absolutely it's brilliant. It's just fucking brilliant, this movie. I was watching it last night and I was just like, "Oh my God." And this is what you get when you get Larry Cohen, who is prepared. He's ready to go. He's got a script. He's probably working on this for years because there's so much in it that there's so much detail.
What do we got?
No, don't eat that. I saw it moving in the refrigerator.
Here, Jason, take some.
There is something alive in there.
They're good for us, Jason. They kill the bad things inside us.
Must be a side effect of eating too much dessert.
It's gonna kill you! It's gonna kill you all!
Hey, wait. We are not alone.
Tonight, America is in grave danger.
So are you prepared to say on the air that you've actually seen people devoured by the stuff?
Oh, hell yes. And what's worse, I've seen what's left of them when the stuff gets through and comes back out.
Coming soon. For you, the stuff. From New World Pictures.
We start at the beginning. All right. I'm going to look at my notes. I'm referring to my notes, and I'm also looking at the Wikipedia description of the plot. But basically, I mean, we start off in this, I guess, small town, deserted-looking mine thing. And this dude sees weird stuff oozing out of the ground, right?
Yeah, it's like a total Larry Cohen movie opening. It's like akin to like the baby being born in the back of the taxi cab. Some old weird guy sees a bunch of white shit bubbling out of the ground, goes over there, but like immediately tastes it.
He tastes it. Why the fuck does he taste it?
What the hell is this? So smooth. Tastes real good. Tasty. Sweet.
What are you doing down there? Taking a leak?
No.
Want us to wait for you?
No. You guys go ahead. I'll catch up to you later. Well, I'll be there. Whatever that could be. It's mighty good.
Like, come over here, Bob. You got to taste this, and this is just the beginning of awesomeness right here. And
before the credits even finish rolling, this stuff has been boxed. It's been put in trucks, and it's been shipped off. And we're starting to see commercials.
When I was a little girl, I didn't think there was anything that I liked better than ice cream. Now I'm a big girl, and I've decided there's something I like better. Much better. It's called the stuff. And believe me, enough is never enough.
It's like so quick the way this whole thing rolls out.
See, here I feel like, everything in this movie, with the exception perhaps of maybe going a little bit off the rails in Act 3, but we'll get to that later, is Larry Cohen being Larry Cohen 100%. And being so well thought out and tight about it. Like, he is so sure-handed and just, he is fully in control of everything that's going on, and he's having fun with it.
Yeah,
and it's totally inspiring and totally just entertaining.
And it's such a commentary on our society. It still holds up today. It's a
does.
comment on fads and trends and all this stuff. I mean, the first thing I thought about when I thought about this movie was, I remember there was a scam in the late 80s, early 90s about so-called low-fat yogurt where they found out that there was a lot of fat in it. And they were trying to sell it as being really, really good for you when it wasn't. And also yogurt. I mean, we mentioned yogurt. They mentioned yogurt in the movie because yogurt is technically alive. It has living bacteria in it and yogurt cultures. So it is kind of alive.
Life finds a way.
But he takes it in such a degree that it's just, oh, wow.
Yeah.
So our old friend Michael Moriarty returns.
With
this time he's got a bit of a southern accent. He kind of sounds like Jimmy Carter.
Yeah. I love it. And I love his character. He plays a like corporate espionage tough guy.
Right, he's a former spook. He's a former spook. He used to work for the FBI.
Yeah, he's the guy you call, like, if you're a yogurt company or whatever and you want to spy on your competitors.
They should totally do a TV show like that. I mean, like, he could be like,
dude, actually, like, seriously, it's a fun idea for a movie that, like, the corporate badass guy that fucking, like, he will break whatever rule necessary in order to, get the information for your company.
Yeah, but they disavow knowledge. They'll disavow knowledge of your action,
Don't waste my motherfucking time!
Exactly. It's kind of like a Mission Impossible, like a private sector Mission Impossible.
Yeah. And what it is these ice cream guys all get together and they hire Michael Moriarty so we can find out what the secret formula of the stuff is. And the stuff is competing. I guess it's ruining the ice cream business or something. It's so weird that the heavies in this are
this out.
They're all about ice cream.
And that line, he's like he's so freaking charming in it. Like it's so good, man. He's like, are you? He's like, no one is as dumb as I appear to be. Like,
I actually wrote that line down. I wrote that line down.
So did I.
I wrote a couple of lines because there's a lot of memorable lines in this movie, and that's one of them. And I thought that was great. You're
obviously not as dumb as you appear to be. Like, no one is as dumb as I appear to be.
Well, I'll be a son of a bitch. You know, Mr.
Rutherford, Mo Rutherford. You know why they call me Mo?
No, why?
Because every time people give me money, I always want Mo.
Well, you know, Mr. Rutherford?
Yes, sir?
I don't think you're quite as dumb as you appear to be.
No one is as dumb as I appear to be.
Okay, so these competing companies want to know what the formula to stuff is, and he comes and he messes with these guys, and he even punches one of them out, which is funny. I thought that was great. This stuff is already being rolled out. We start seeing commercials. These people dancing around, I mean, there's like this Dr. Pepper like commercial where people are dancing in the streets.
The stuff. Yeah,
the
man,
stuff.
It's freaking awesome. It's even got a little song, and it gets stuck in
He's
your
got
head.
a jingle.
Dude, they've got Clara Peller, the chick from the freaking
Yes, and
Where's
Abe
the Beef
Vigoda.
commercial. Yeah, Abe Vigoda. Yeah, Abe Vigoda's in it.
And she says,
with his
"Where's the
eyebrows
stuff?"
and everything. Yeah, she's like, "Where's this stuff?" Fucking awesome.
So all right. So we move. He moves very quickly. He goes and hooks up with Andrea Markovici, who like directs these stuff commercials. And he tries to get information out of her.
Some of their relationship was cut out of the movie because, like, they get way too close without getting way too close.
I noticed
way
that.
Quickly.
Already they're in bed together. I thought
they're
that.
like in bed together. They're like a married couple, like within like 5 minutes. Like, it's weird.
Yeah, I know. They
and then you get the kid. Then you get the kid, and they're like a family.
They're a family because he becomes an orphan. Okay, well, let's get into that. First, we start. What? Now, Cohen's script works this way. We start big. And then we go down a little bit, and then we go even further down to these details of this family that starts eating the stuff, and then they start this stuff is incredibly addictive, and they keep trying to get this kid to eat the stuff. This kid doesn't like it, okay, and they're really pushing him too. I don't push food. I try not to push food on Regan, right?
Yeah, well, you're also not some crack addict trying to make your kid smoke crack either.
Yes, I know. It's so. It's being marketed like yogurt. This woman is like, I'm losing weight. I've already lost 5 pounds just eating this stuff. You know? and that's a nice little conceit there. I love that because that's how you hook a lot of people into buying a product like this. If it tastes really good, it's really addictive, and it helps you lose weight.
Fuck yeah, man.
It's really creepy. I mean, this kind of stuff has been done before in later movies that were inspired by this stuff. I've seen this, it's a body snatcher scenario, yes. But it's been done.
There was a whole season of Supernatural that was kind of like this stuff, like based on a restaurant, like a chain of restaurants that was like it was a bunch of people, a bunch of creatures that were poisoning the food and making everybody into zombies.
Right.
Like yeah.
And there was there was an episode of Futurama. Where there was some kind of a soft drink that people drink. I think it was called Slurm.
Slurm.
Yeah, Slurm. And it turns out to come from a horrible, weird worm creature.
Yes.
It comes right out of this worm queen's hiney or something like that.
Yeah,
and people love it. But the thing is, in the Futurama episode, when it was revealed what it was, people didn't care. They just kept drinking it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the kid goes nuts. He goes into a supermarket and he tries to destroy all the stuff that they have stocked. And we see Eric Bogosian in a cameo.
Hey, give me that. Hey, give me that bat. What do you think you're doing?
So he gets arrested. He gets the attention of Michael Moriarty, who goes and is going to question him. But first he talks to Danny Aiello. And this is a great scene because Danny Aiello is incredibly nervous about his dog. And I don't know who the bad guy is in the scene until we figure it out. Mm-hmm. For some reason, I thought Danny Aiello was the bad guy and the dog was trying to attack him. But it was actually the dog.
Yeah.
Look, all we can do is look for something common to most people. Now, if there is no reason to forbid the use of a product, then we have to okay it. And in this case, it was a pleasure. It was an absolute pleasure because I love it. I love it.
Oh, well, you eat the stuff?
All the time. I feed it to Ben. Ben has some.
You feed the dog?
Absolutely. Ben eats it all the time. Right, Ben?
Well, I suppose if both you eat it, it's got to be all right.
Yeah, it's really good.
Huh? But I understand that you're not actually a chemist, Mr. Vickers.
No, I'm an administrator, but I can give you the names of some of the people on the panel.
Oh, well, I tried that already, and for some strange reason, they're all out of the country or they're deceased.
What a shame.
Yeah, it's like it's a really interesting scene. It's really well done. It
also seems improvised. Does it seem improvised to you? Some of it seemed improvised.
It did. A lot of Aiello's dialogues did seem improvised. It's just that
and the dog jumps into the shot, and Michael Moriarty turns his head like he's looking at Larry, and he's saying, "Are we still rolling?"
Yeah.
It kind of looked like it was a little bit improvised.
Yeah, no, it did, and I the whole thing fit though. There was a little bit of a feeling of it being improvised, but it wasn't
a very nervous vibe about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't. To me. It fit a lot better than a lot of the things in Q. Like in terms of whatever, if those things were improvised, I didn't think they fit. I thought they went on too long. They weren't well edited. It didn't work very well. And here, this all works really well. You just keep being, even when they slip up, and they start to slip up.
That's your main difference. There are some narrative similarities between Q and the stuff. What I would say the big difference is the editing is a lot more tight. It's a lot more concise here. So Moriarty goes down to the town in Virginia where the stuff was first discovered and tested.
And he
Everyone
meets
is
up with fucking Famous Amos, and it's awesome.
well,
I mean,
Famous Amos,
freaking
sort
awesome.
of.
Well, yeah, he's played by
His
Garrett
name is
Morris, which is even more awesome.
Garrett Morris is incredible in this movie. Chocolate Chip Charlie is his name.
Yes.
You're Chocolate Chip Charlie.
Well, I sure as hell ain't the Kentucky Colonel. Get off of me.
I'm sorry. What are you doing down here in a town like this? Big executive like you.
I'm trying to find out something about the sons of bitches who stole my company out from under me and threw me out on my beautiful black ass. You work for them, huh?
I'm investigating them, same as you are.
Yeah, those shits. Somehow, man, they got to my asshole brother and my 2 idiot nephews and everybody else I trusted would stop. And they brainwashed them, man. Next thing I knew, they was in and I was out.
Yeah, okay, Charlie. Well, now, did you find anything out?
What you gonna find out, man, in a town that has just been dried up and blown away, man?
He is wonderful. He does all these karate moves, and he's acting crazy and everything. And it's kind of disappointing in the end what happens eventually to Garrett, because I really liked him in this movie. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, well, like I said, they made a few mistakes in Act 3. Like, they started to deviate from where they didn't have a script, they didn't have the Act 3 ready to go, and they just kind of improvised. And I think maybe with like a little bit of writing and a little bit better editing in the third act, they really could have made it as tight.
Well, I thought
all the way through.
We start off. It's like what I didn't realize. Hi, Macy.
Macy.
What I didn't really think about was that this is a comedy. It's almost like a comedy, but it has like this air of a conspiracy thriller about it. It reminds me a lot of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, except it's self-referential. It's making jokes about its own content in a way. There are a couple of lines in there, pieces of dialogue, that almost sound like they're mocking their own movie in a way.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
And not in the way that you were talking about last time we spoke, when we talked about Deadliest Prey. I don't think that they were mocking too much what they were trying to do with that movie. But in this one, I can feel that Cohen's sort of making fun of his own material a little bit.
Well, I think that comes from, that's part of his sense of humor. When he has the army, like basically moving into Atlanta in checker cabs. That's something that only Larry Cohen would think of, and it's a fucking funny ass visual.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely,
and then you know, like Paul Sorvino gets out and like he's like ordering them. Okay, pay the cabs here. Give them a 10% tip. No more.
Yeah. Oh, that was great. No. Well, first let me talk about this before we get to that wonderful bit. That Paul Sorvino, everything that he has ever done wrong in his career is instantly forgiven just by this movie. He is incredible in this movie. Anyway, but let's move on to Patrick O'Neill, who bribes Michael Moriarty $25,000.
Yeah.
This kid notices that they're throwing out perfectly good food and eating nothing but the stuff, and they basically try to ground him and make him eat the stuff. So he pretends to eat the stuff. Instead, he flushes it down the toilet when it tries to come up, which is weird. You got the stuff monster coming out of the toilet. Instead, he eats shaving cream. He fills the stuff canister full of Barbasol shaving cream. And I wrote in my notes here, I said, isn't that going to make him sick, or is that a stupid question?
I thought that was my idea was that was why he ran out of the house, was because he was going to throw up from it. Like he kind of made it like he was like
conveniently Moriarty shows up to rescue him.
Yeah, which is a little bit.
It's a little
contrived.
Yeah.
And so is when he hears him in the back of the truck, because like you know, but that was a little bit more believable. That was really the only way he could have gotten out of that mess.
We're talking about this sentient goo that's walking around killing people. Slithering
yeah, we can't
around.
Demand realism from every other
Yeah,
party.
I know. So the kid throws up. He throws up in the back of Moriarty's car.
I remember when Moriarty had that yellow jumpsuit that was just like everybody else's yellow jumpsuit in his bag the whole time.
Yeah. Little conceits like that are fine with me, because when you have dialogue like this, kid throws up and he's like, I'm going to be sick. I just ate a whole bunch of shaving cream. And he says, everybody has to eat shaving cream once in a while. I just thought that was a great line.
He's like, "Yeah, you think you feeling better? You think you can open the window now?"
Great stuff. Really good. Well, first up, there is a little note here. Once again, Larry Cohen had some difficulties with certain people in a special effects process. It says here that a company called Effects Associated was hired by Cohen to supply some of the special effects shots. When the shots were delivered, he wasn't satisfied with the shots of the exploding factory buildings. That's a lot of that stuff did look fairly cheesy, almost on the level of Q.
The only one they got right was on the dead last, like at the end, very, very end. They had the beautiful explosions at the very, very end. I was wondering why they didn't use some of those as footage for some of the others that they were doing. Yeah,
most impressively, I think, was when Moriarty and Andrea Markovici are in the motel room. For some reason, their bed is full of stuff, and it's a really funny scene too because he gets attacked by it, and he's got this stuff on his head, and he's screaming, and she tries to set it on fire because it doesn't like fire. That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't know where they learned that though. They didn't really know that. They just figured that out while
maybe they figured it was like a tick or something.
Yeah.
Anyway. The stuff crawls out of the bed. It crawls up. They use this really nice effect of it climbing up the wall, which I thought was great. I thought it looked great.
That worked well. Yeah,
it was wonderful. Now I also read that some of the props they used for the stuff was Haagen-Dazs vanilla ice cream, and they used a little bit of yogurt. And then when they did those wall effects, they used fire extinguishing foam, which kind of looks like that. They managed to all get back together again, all three of them, and they go and meet up with, who is this? United States Army Colonel Malcolm Gromit Spears, a retired right-wing soldier, leads a militia in battling the zombies. This is a great Paul Sorvino performance. It's so awesome.
75, 80, 90% of the people in this world don't like me.
No.
No matter what I do, I give my body, I give my soul.
And they still don't like you.
They don't like me. They never have liked me. When I was a boy, I was always the biggest and toughest and strongest and smartest and best looking. See, they want to see somebody who's lily-livered and weak and spineless just like they are. Ain't that right, FBI? I'd like to know, is there something you can do to help me change my image?
Now, Colonel, I think she can change your image like that.
You sold him that white shit. Why can't you help sell him me?
What does he do? He requisitions all the taxis and everything. When he goes to a taxi, he's like, the taxi driver's like, "What's going on here?" And he says, "No more of your liberal remarks."
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's some New York Jewish guy's impression of what a conservative would be like because he's never met one. And it's kind of, and the army guys are the same way. Like Larry Cohen obviously has never dealt with any army people at all.
And this is what he assumes they had to just get in there with their machine guns and their flamethrowers and fuck everything.
And they kind of go hut 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 every time they move anywhere, and they bring the kid to the fucking firefight.
I also read here that Mira Sorvino is in the movie, is in the stuff.
She is? I didn't see her.
She is a factory worker. She's one of the factory workers in there.
She had to be like 7 or 8 years old or 10 years old or something. I mean, she was a kid.
85? I don't know. We could look up her birthday, but she was there because she was with her dad. She was like visiting her dad or something like that. So Larry Cohen cast her in the movie as somebody. So we get to the big firefight at the end. There's lots of big. Well, first we go to, for some reason, this guy. Paul Sorvino's character owns a bunch of radio stations. So they go down to a radio station and they start warning the public. Do not eat the stuff. Throw it out. Set it on fire. Do whatever. If you sell it, get rid of it. Stuff like that. Garrett Morris. This is kind of interesting for me because in what the stuff does to people, it seems to take over their personalities. But when Garrett Morris shows up again, he's acting like he did early on. So I was kind of curious about that. Why he doesn't behave in that fashion. He opens his mouth really wide. I guess his whole body crumbles and the stuff comes out. And it tries to attack Andrea and the kid again. Mm-hmm. And then they get out there. They rescue a couple of really awkward process shots in there. I don't know why they did that.
There were a number of those towards the end. And it didn't help that, it didn't help the whole overall feeling that there were a couple of points where they got it back. They got their footing back, but it really felt like they weren't on a like the whole movie's on like a.
I think that's
he knows where it's going until it gets to Paul Sorvino, and then Cohen doesn't know where he's going. And he kind of wings it for a while.
But then we get to that kind of chaotic Mel Brooks ending where everything blows up,
Yeah, and like, but then at the end it gets to this whole thing of like it's total again Larry Cohen, where it's like the reaction to this is that everyone everywhere is taking their stuff and burning it on large piles, and they're blowing up the stuff restaurants, and I'm like, yes.
Now, okay, awesome. Did you notice in that shot? Did you notice the Stuff franchise restaurant that blew up? What was right next to it?
McDonald's.
Exactly. See, now this is where the message is. The message is that McDonald's is the stuff, that Burger King is the stuff, that Wendy's did this marketing, mass marketing of consumer products, and also that apparently like, the FDA doesn't really do anything. They don't do anything about this.
They really don't. Well, they don't, and it's true to this day. It hasn't changed.
Absolutely.
And it's funny to me. I don't know why these kind of like left-leaning messages and these kinds of things, which I find to be absolutely dead on. Like I like these, and then I watch a movie like Zootopia the other day, and it pisses me off with the stuff that they're doing today. Like it's just.
Well, you know what it is? It's kind of like what we were talking about a few weeks ago that we recently talked about on Blissful, is that I think liberal politics back in those days was different than the way it is now.
Check out the big brain on Brad. You're a smart motherfucker. That's right.
It made a lot more sense back then than it does now. Now, I mean, I don't understand why anybody follows it anymore. Like I really don't. But I mean,
absolutely.
I saw in Zootopia, I saw all kinds of weird, like the only thing was it wasn't a threatening message for the kids because the people making the messages had no idea what they were talking about, so it was like completely stupid. Like, but they were trying to send messages to the kids, and it was obvious and annoying and bothersome, and like but like
what it is? It's pandering.
It is.
You're pandering when you do it these days. Back then, it was just kind of clarver satire,
and it was interesting because nobody else was doing it.
You know?
Yeah, and and Larry Cohen had a point. Like, I mean, and he was right. like I don't see these people today as being right. No,
they're just preachy. They're preachy and
they're preaching their religion. They're preaching their religion. Their ideology.
This is supposed to be a fun movie. Maybe we take a little bit away from it, but we're entertained. That's really bottom line. So after all this, we get a couple of tags, a couple of tag endings. The first one is kind of like this kind of Hitchcockian thing where he goes in, he finds out that Patrick O'Neill has sided with the ice cream guys, and they're going to create a new thing called The Taste, which is like a little bit of stuff, but mostly ice cream, just enough to make it addictive, to make you want to have it, but it won't kill you or something like that.
Right. And they're like, oh, he's like, well, if it's safe, then you eat it. And you're like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, they get away from it very quickly, but then the boy comes in with a whole case of the stuff, the original stuff. I guess they kept some, of course. We know, we're going to find out. They keep a whole bunch of cartons of this stuff, and they make them eat it. And, I mean, these people are like, I'm not eating it, I'm not eating it. I'm going to shoot you if you don't. So they start eating it, and immediately they get addicted to it. And they're kind of like, it's a weird, creepy scene because they're sitting there eating this stuff, and they can't stop.
Yeah.
They can't stop. This guy drops his canister. Patrick O'Neill drops it. He picks it up. He's scraping it off the ground. He's like getting it into his mind. And this is going to kill them eventually. But the cops show up, I guess. We hear a police siren. So they're going to arrest these guys, and these guys are going to explode at some point.
Yeah. Which is, I think, a great ending. This is where like Cohen really makes up for kind of going off the rails for a bit. Like, he gets his footing back there at the end.
So what happens, like right before the credits roll, we go to Patrick Dempsey has a cameo as a black market dealer of stuff. Yeah. They have this.
That's awesome.
Somebody managed to save this, and of course, it's a drug. That's a drug metaphor, I guess. Is that if you have contraband, you have black market stuff, it's illegal, there's always going to be someone out there selling it.
It's addictive. Of course it's going to be black marketed.
Yeah.
It comes out of the ground, you can find it somewhere. Like, somebody's going to black market it. And like, and maybe it brings up the question, it's like, which is worse? Mass marketing it and selling it in the stores, or black marketing it and having everybody get addicted anyway?
We get to the credits, and at the end, after the credits, did you catch the little bit at the end after the credits?
I did not.
It's a shot of Brooke Adams, the actress Brooke Adams.
Really?
And she's holding up a
from It's Alive. Brooke Adams.
Brooke Adams from It's Alive. Was she in It's Alive?
She was, wasn't she?
She was in a movie very similar to it called The Unborn.
The Unborn. That's what I was thinking of. Yes, I'm sorry. Never mind. Go on.
Brooke Adams appears right at the end, right after the credits roll, holding up a container of the stuff, and she says,
"Enough is never enough."
And then it goes to black from there. And that's actually going to be the title of this episode when it's done. Enough is never enough.
Never enough.
Enough is never enough.
Right. Awesome, man. I love it.
This is just, you know, I wouldn't say it's an incredible evolutionary leap past Q, because I see so much of that kind of, I want to say, the Larry Cohen style and the Larry Cohen mentality going from Q to the stuff. I mean, it seems like it's the work of the same guy. It has a signature to it. It has like a trademark. This movie is much better made, obviously. The script doesn't have so many pitfalls. It doesn't seem confused as much.
Right.
You know, but
no, not at all. Not at all.
But for this, again, it's sort of like a combination of different storylines. We're following Moriarty through this adventure. And then we're dealing with this kid, and then we're dealing with the crazy Paul Sorvino. You know, it's just it sort of, but it comes together. There's a much more of a balance.
It's a clear. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And Q is not a well structured story like that. It's not as well structured by any means. It's definitely not as tight either in screenplay or in editing than as is the stuff. The stuff is really a little freaking work of art, man. It really is. Like, and it's like if you are somebody out there who hasn't really gotten into Larry Cohen, like, the stuff is the movie I would start with. And I wouldn't be shy about starting to check out some of the things that he's written but not directed, like Bestseller, like
Maniac Cop.
Yeah, Maniac Cop. Maniac Cop is an awesome one to check out because, you know, that kind of looks like your generic lame-ass horror movie, and it really isn't. It's a really, really great little movie, little thriller that even though it's completely ridiculous and over the top, they actually make it sort of realistic in its own little world, you know?
He's not one of these Hollywood glad-handers.
What else has he done that's totally... I mean, well, you know, you have to... There are like two Larry Cohens. There's the high-concept big movie script writer like Phone Booth, yeah. You know, Cellular is another super high concept, really good movie. And I really like the lead guy in that movie, and you never see him in anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like and Jason Statham is in it, and
right.
And it's a really, really good movie, very enjoyable, really well done.
And then you have the Larry Cohen as a filmmaker.
Yeah, Larry Cohen as a filmmaker, Larry Cohen as a screenwriter of quirky little movies, and so which has always been the stuff that appealed to me more. But I always really liked his you know, if I see his name on it, I want to see it generally.
But he would go, and that's one of the issues he had with Maniac Cop, was because some of the exteriors were shot in California. And I remember it was very funny in the commentary toward the end of the movie, we see some palm trees. And Larry Cohen and Lustig says, Larry freaked out when he saw these palm trees. He says, we'll go in, we'll cut the prints, we'll take all the palm trees out. And he said, we can't do that. Because Cohen is about authentic. You know, Cohen and Lustig have a very interesting kind of symmetry to their work, where they just want to get out there, roll the camera, fuck everything else, and that's how you make movies. That's how you are an adventurer as a filmmaker. You just do it. I don't give a shit when anybody says I'm going to turn on my camera. I wrote a script. We're doing this. You know,
I love Larry Cohen. You know, I really do. He's just a brilliant guy. I'd love to meet him someday. He's been a hero of mine for so long.
I would piss my pants if I ever met Larry Cohen.
Yeah, really, seriously.
This guy is he's what every writer should be.
I've met so many famous people, and like over the years, and I've never been starstruck before. I think I would be starstruck if I met Larry Cohen.
There was only one time in my life I've met a lot of famous people. There was only one time in my life I was ever starstruck, and that's when I met Roddy McDowall.
Really?
I met him at Forbidden Planet. I was at Forbidden Planet. He's a comic book lover, and I met him. I said, "Are you Roddy McDowall?" He says, "Yes, I am." And he actually bowed. He bowed to me and shook my hand. I was like, "Get the fuck out of here! You're Roddy McDowall. What the hell are you doing here?" That was the only time I was ever starstruck. But that's it.
Amazing. I've never been starstruck at all ever in my life. Of the people I can think of that would make me starstruck, I like definitely Larry Cohen would be one of them. Like I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start if I ever got to sit down and have a conversation with him. What questions I would ask him, you know?
Yeah,
I could talk to the man for hours. He probably wouldn't want to talk to me at all.
There's
But,
so much you could talk to him about.
Yeah.
He probably have like a million stories about, you know.
Yeah, can you imagine just hearing the stories from some of these movies and some of the things that happen on the sets of these movies? Can you imagine how cool that would be? I mean, my God. Like,
he'd be like, you know, we took in, like, we had 15 people in here with a camera, we didn't have a permit, and then the cops are coming, so we had to grab everything and run, get the shot. You know, that's the kind of shit you had to deal with, you know. But New York of that time was much more lax. I guess it was more lax. And you could do quite a bit. Like I said, that Chrysler building, you could never do that today. Never.
Oh, no, of course not. You couldn't do most of this stuff today, I'm sure.
Yeah, you'd have to come up with a computer-simulated Chrysler building and then build a set. Which, you know, it takes away from the realism. Because
I got to talk. One day I talked to Larry Cohen, and get him, you know, what he needs to do is to go guerrilla filmmaking in other cities. Like come down to Greenville and start, because they don't have anything set up here to stop that. So fucking Greenville that shit. That's what I'm talking about.
Go to South Carolina. You know, North Carolina has very good tax incentives for people shooting too.
Yeah, South Carolina has some too. Louisiana has some really good ones. That's why we have Duck Dynasty. We wouldn't have Duck Dynasty if they didn't have crazy fucking tax incentives to do TV shows in fucking in Louisiana.
Yeah, Colorado and Montana too, but unfortunately, you know, they're kind of boring, those places.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, Michigan.
Oh, and Vegas. I believe Nevada has a very good film program too.
I like Vegas. It's fun there.
Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
All right, what do you say we wrap this up?
All right, I guess so. Probably a good idea.
Enough is never enough.
You have been listening to Extreme Cinema with Andrew LeGang and David Lawler.